I'm willing to bet you all right now that our housing costs, our housing crisis is going to get worse. I'm going to show you why. So I found this group called Century Initiative. This is back in April 30th, 2024, long before Mr. Carney wanted to become prime minister or even thought about it. Now, this is an article on this website. Stick around to the end because I have a video to play as well with Mark Carney speaking. You'll get the picture. So this is about building growth, housing infrastructure for expanding the nation of Canada. This website is tailored and specifically for Canada. Across the country, Canadians are bearing the brunt of an ongoing and painful housing crisis. Well, we know that. As a gap between housing supply and demand continues to grow, one thing remains clear. Many homes are needed, but too few are being built. At the same time, questions are being raised about Canada's ability to build and finance the hospitals, schools, roads, and transits needed to accommodate an expanding population and bolster productivity. And who was speaking at this event? Mr. Mark Carney up there. Now let's have a look at who they are. What's their mission? Their mission is, we advocate for policies and programs that would increase Canada's population to 100 million by 2100. We lead, enable, and support long-term thinking for planning required to manage this growth well and ensure a high quality of life and standard for living and for all. Well, we already know the current situation, and these people have been around for a while. So just take the current situation and apply it to their mission. Why 100 million? The world is changing at a rapid pace, and Canada is falling behind. Our population is aging. We're having fewer children, and our workforce is shrinking. If we stay the course, Canada's annual GDP growth will decline, along with the influence on the world stage. Growing our population to 100 million by 2100 would reduce the burden on government revenues to fund healthcare, old age security, and other services, meaning getting your ass to pay for it and the government saving out on money. But it will also mean more skilled workers, innovation to help the Canadian economy. And these creeps are tracking every single person that comes, goes, passes away, literally every night. Now, what's their focus to this whole group? This is where it's going to shock you. What's the focus? How are we going to reach this 100 million? Immigration. Immigration is the cornerstone of Canada's prosperity, driving economic growth, demographic renewal, and cultural diversity. With an aging population and declining birth rates, immigration is essential to sustaining our workforce, filling our labor shortages, and ensuring the competitiveness of Canadian industries in the global economy. Beyond its economic impact, immigration enriches our communities, fostering innovation, entrepreneurship, and vibrant multiculturalism that defines Canadian identity. It sounds good and all, but I'm going to tell you something right now. There is a lot of people who are already Canadians that don't have any of that, and the government won't help them get any of that. And this is going to be at the expense of taxpayers. But it gets worse. Infrastructure and environment. Infrastructure and environment. Vibrant cities are beacons for people and ideas. To ensure our cities are able to accommodate current population levels and posed for growth, we must invest in affordability, housing, effective public transportation, overall infrastructure, and expansion to the near and far north. Attracting more people in our cities allows us to share the cost of key services such as hospitals, roads, libraries, and policing across a larger tax base. Sounds like 15-minute cities to me. There is evidence that higher density cities have a greater flow of ideas and people and a lower carbon footprint. Let's check how we're going to get there. A population of 100 million by 2100 is not as ambitious as it sounds. There are two main ways we can get there: by supporting people who want to have more children, which would increase our fertility rate and by increasing our immigration levels. So I don't know, does this have anything to do with sexualizing our children at a younger age now and teaching them about intercourse in like grade 5 and 4? Getting them to be prepared to have children and want to have children at a younger age? Like, it is so bad right now. There's no housing. All of our jobs are taken and people are broke. But these people make it sound like it's so nice. It's going to work out so perfect. They got a plan. But I mean, even when you look at our Canadian pension, our retirement fund, like if people are coming here and they're only working, 5 to 10 years and then they're able to collect that pension when other people have been working like 30, 40 years, how are we going to afford this? How are we going to fund this pension? If we want to increase our population, we have to increase the fertility rate that is happening right now. People that have already been living here for, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, growing up and then ready to make a family. But also in that time, working and contributing to all these things that we got to fund. So they would have to increase some sort of taxing in order to contribute and offset that so we're able to afford these things. Now listen to this video.
Conversation in this country more recently has shifted to one issue on the demand side, and in particular, immigration policy. There have been a number of economists musing lately about the relative capacity of the economy to absorb the level of immigration, which is very different than even a few years ago when immigration was seen as the key driver of our economy. Are you worried about the absorptive capacity of the economy at the current level of immigration?
Okay, so the first thing I'd say is that immigration, so new workers coming into Canada, the track record is great. It's it's a testament to Canadians and our institutions that we welcome new immigrants, they get integrated into the economy, they become productive, they become Canadians, and they move forward. Now, there's a difference, and as you know, part of the big surge in people coming into Canada has been students, post-secondary students. And post-secondary students, most of them, what they're supposed to do is study. They might have a job on the side, but they're studying. And so there's a demand for goods and services, housing, the most obvious example, but they're not necessarily increasing yet the productive capacity of the economy. And that's where you get those frictions. So what we've seen is that big surge in post-secondary students, student visas, and that's something I think the immigration minister began to act on this week.
Do you think while they are focused on increasing supply and while we wait for the policies that have been introduced so far to take effect, the government might be forced to be more restrictive on its immigration policy, or would you advise against that?
Well, I think
beyond what's
our policy, beyond what's done, I think our policy of welcoming immigrants who integrate into the labor force, make us stronger, that works. And in my judgment, we can keep with that core policy. It's part of the essence of Canada, but also just, I hate to do it, but you're asking me as an economist, it is effective. And in fact, most of the growth we've had in Canada in recent years has come from the growth in labor supply, including adding to our overall level of activity in the economy. So that's a net good thing. Where we've gone off course is in the scale of post-secondary students, in my judgment. So yes, you can always get better. You can always be more targeted. But broad brush, I think our policies worked, and the adjustments that starting to be made are putting us on the.
Now, just so you guys all know, he's not prime minister here. He never even thought about being prime minister. This was a while back. So the fact that he's talking like he's running Canada and that he has to say, that to me was a little bit unsettling. But the fact that he's saying that we're on course, that we're on track, and that he was at that meeting and he was talking about, we know he's going to flood our country. We know things are going to get worse. We know we don't have enough money to even fund the infrastructure right now. We know that our pension is not on the right track right now. That's why the Conservative Party wanted to raise it. Therefore, people can contribute it and not abuse it because it's only a short-term thing. It was never made for a retirement fund that you can live off of for 20, 30, 40 years. So I don't know. What do you guys think about all this? Pretty crazy how they want to pretty much rush us to 100 million just to keep up with the global economy.